responded, and if he didn't show up when I wanted him to, he always showed up on time. Is there anybody here tonight that says, God, come hell or high water, whether I'm up or down, I've got a confidence in the God of my salvation that he will be who I need him to be? That's how you know you're growing up. When you go from uncertainty to confidence. There's another indicator tonight that'll let you know you're growing up in God. You also know you're growing up in God when your focus moves from me to we. Lost about 1/4 of the saints right there. Let's try it again. I say you know you're growing up when your focus moves from me to we. When I'm no longer just concerned about me, my four, and no more. But I now have a collective conscience that says when we are all making it, that's when I'm satisfied. Immature folk are only worried about their blessing, their stuff. When God gonna do it for me, and how's God gonna make it work for me? But grown folk say, I don't get intimidated when God blesses you. In fact, I get excited. I'll shout with you. I will not hate and get jealous. I'll be just as excited as you are, because if God is blessing you, I know I ain't too far behind. This is for grown folk. This ain't for everybody. This is for grown folk who understand that when you grow up in God, your focus moves from me to we. Please notice who Joseph uses his skills and his gifts for in chapter 40. Notice, it's for the cupbearer, and the baker. In other words, he gives his best in the service of others, even though he has been unfairly imprisoned. Too fast. One more time. Notice. He's a gifted brother. He's got leadership. He's got executive administrative gifts. He has the ability to strategize, and he can forecast and look forward. And if you keep reading, you're going to discover that's going to be important real soon. But that's his gift. That's what God gave him. And even in a prison, he decides, I'm going to use my gifts and skills for somebody else. I'm going to give my best in the service of others, even though it was others who put him in prison. Can I pause right here in your driveway for a moment? I promise I'm going to leave the engine on. But I want to pause right here for a moment, because others have hurt him, yet he is still giving himself to others. I need to pause in your driveway for a moment. I'll leave the blinkers on, but I need to pause here, because too many of us, as soon as others hurt us, we decide we ain't dealing with nobody. Don't look at me with that tone of voice. I said the moment somebody goes sideways with us, the moment somebody doesn't treat us right, the moment somebody mismanages or mishandles a relationship with us, we decide I ain't messing with nobody else. We charge a trust tax on people in our future because of the damage we've incurred in our past. How long are you going to blame the innocent for the guilty? I'm preaching better than you saying amen. How long are you going to blame others for stuff other folk did that have nothing to do with them? Again, this is a tremendous difference from the Joseph we met before. I told you this is chapter 40. But in chapter 37, Joseph spent all his time highlighting his own favor. Only worried about him. I told you he was a spoiled brat at 17. He left his daddy's house, would go down to the fields and check on his brothers and come back and tell everything they were or were not doing. Now, it wasn't enough to just not have to work because he was the favorite son. It wasn't enough to go down and then tattle on your brothers. Every time he went down there, he sashayed in this wonderful coat that his father had given to him and given to nobody else. Every time you saw him, there was a colorful blur behind him, because he was sashaying, showing everybody, look at me, how favored I am. chapter 37. All of his dreams were about him. And in those dreams, everybody bowed to him. But now Joseph is invested in using his gifts and his skills to help other people. That's because the ups and downs of life have a way of growing you up. Or you start out thinking you don't need nobody and you good by yourself. You start out thinking, oh, I'm smart enough, I can figure this out by myself. But after a few lumps upside your head, and after a few scars and skint knees and elbows, after a few moments when you realize I need some help, I need somebody to be with me, I need somebody to help me get where I can't get. One of the hallmarks of growth is that you turn your focus from inward to outward. We stop thinking so much about ourselves and we start serving other people. You know you're growing up when even through life's ups and downs, you can still find a way to bless somebody else. Again, this ain't for everybody. This is for folk who understand the growth marks, the tick marks of growth in God. See, when you grow up in God, you ain't got to be well to help sick people. When you grow up in God, you could be asking for your own healing and still pray for somebody else's. When you grow up in God, you ain't got to be well off to be a blessing. When you grow up in God, you can find yourself struggling, but always see somebody else who's in a worse spot than you, and you still invest and bless and do what you can to help them. Not because you don't need it for yourself, but because you understand this thing is bigger than just me. When you're growing up in God, you can help other people who are hurting, even if you are limping from your own pain. I'm wondering, is there anybody here tonight that says that's really how I found out who God was in my life? Not in my strong moments, but in my weak moments, God used me still to be a blessing to somebody else. And now I've decided whether I'm up or down, rich or poor, sick or healthy, together or single or by myself, wherever I am, I've decided I'm going to use my life to be a blessing to somebody else. Because growing up says my focus changes from me to we. Wait a minute, there's one more. There's one more. I got to let you go. There's one more. There's one more. Tick mark on the ruler of growth in God. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. You know you're growing in God when you see your bad endings as new beginnings. I'm gonna try not to lose it on this point. I'm going to try my best. You know you're growing up when you look at bad endings in your life as new beginning. You got your Bible? You need it? Here it is, verse 23. It's the last verse of chapter 40. Here's what it says. Pharaoh's chief cupbearer, however, forgot all about Joseph, never giving him another thought. Wait a minute. Did you hear that? It's almost insulting. Right. First there's injury, then there's insult added to the injury. Because the writer of the passage could have just stopped when he said that the chief cupbearer forgot all about Joseph. But that ain't what he said. He said he forgot all about Joseph and he never thought about him again. That's a terrible place. Especially after you done help somebody get to where they are. Then all of a sudden when they get there, they catch convenient amnesia. They don't remember the people who use their backs as steps for them to get where they are. If I'm Joseph, I'm like, here we go again. Just when he thought he was about to be helped, the guy he blessed made it to Pharaoh's court. This is my chance. This is my shot. This is my moment. Just when he thought he was about to get help, he gets forgotten. Just when he thought he was reaching another peak on his journey, he gets followed by another drop into the valley. It's so bad, y'all, that chapter 41 will tell us that Joseph has to stay in that same prison for another 2 years. You read it. It's verse 1, chapter 41. The Bible says 2 years after he's helped the cupbearer get to where he is, he got to stay there. 2 years? 365 days times 2. I done helped you, encouraged you, got you to where you are. You forgot about me, never mentioned my name. But beloved, what we also learn from the next chapter, 41, we don't have time to go there, is that Joseph, even during this season, keeps serving. Through every disappointment, Joseph decides, I'm going to be faithful. Through every up or down, Joseph does not let his location dictate his vocation. He says, regardless of where I am, I'm going to be who I am. God help me tonight. That it doesn't matter what season of life I'm in, I'm always going to be faithful to the God who brought me here. That's because previous seasons have taught Joseph something. They've taught him that God can take what actually went bad and make it a blessing. This ain't Joseph's first ride on the roller coaster. He's been on this before, and he's grown to the height where he now understands that regardless of how high or how low it goes, God is the one who orders his steps. So Joseph trusts that a bad ending can actually introduce the start of a new chapter. You know you're growing up in God when you see bad endings as a chance for a new beginning. That when God ends one season, I told you this last night, he always starts another one. That God is always working for our good. Come here, Paul. Paul says, and we know all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. God is always working things for my good. Then if where I am is not good, then where I am ain't the end. One more time. I just told you, God says everything he does is designed to get me to a good place. Then if where I am today ain't a good place, don't unpack your bags. Because it is not the end. Growing up is about learning that God can work in every single detail of my life. But knowing that God is working in every detail does not exempt me from ups and downs. But it will always allow me to translate my ups and downs correctly. It'll always give me the right perspective to be able to see what God is doing. Beloved, chapter 40 doesn't end well for Joseph. The Bible says he gets left. He gets forgotten. It's 2 years later before anybody ever comes to see him. Could it be that what we call punishment is actually preservation? Could it be that what we call being isolated and being punished is actually God keeping you and preserving you for another moment? Could it be that what you call being placed in what you determined to be an abandoned spot is actually God holding you and keeping you in place so that you'll be ready to be called up when your moment comes? Joseph is in prison 2 more years. What if the cupbearer remembers Joseph and he ends up getting pulled out? We never know where Joseph ends up. We may not have the same ending to the story that we got today. But here's what we do know. 2 years, nobody came to see him. 2 years, he stayed faithful. 2 years, nobody came and checked on him. But for 2 years, he kept leading. 2 years, nobody hollered at him and sent him money on his books. But for 2 years, he stayed faithful and did what God had given him power to do. The Bible says 2 years later, Pharaoh has a dream. And Pharaoh can't remember and figure out and interpret what this dream means. Mess around and tells the cupbearer. The cupbearer has an epiphany for a moment. Doggone it. I remember, brother, back in prison. Matter of fact, it's your prison. Here, I remember this brother who interpreted dreams for us. You need to call him. Bring him up. Let him interpret your dream. Can I tell you that maybe Joseph was exactly where God wanted him to be? Because time and moments had not yet come together. And time, chronos, had not caught up with divine providence, kairos. Things were not arranged just yet. But when they got together, God had Joseph right where he could be. So he didn't have to be found. He simply had to be fetched. I know some of us tonight think that we're in a place that God has forgotten us. I'm talking to somebody tonight who's going through a season where it looks like God is not paying you any attention. I know somebody here tonight thinks God is punishing you because of some choices that you made. But I came to tell you tonight that every time you think you're being punished, sometimes it's God preserving you for another season. I know you want to do something else. I know you'd rather be somewhere else. But God says, I need you to grow up and know that even in your highs and your lows, I've still got a plan I'm working out. I know sometimes it doesn't make sense to you, but I'm still ordering your steps and your stops. I'm still working things for your good. I know you got tears in your eyes. I know your heart has been broken. I know your mind is sometimes confused, and you wish somebody would remember you in the prison that you're in. But I came to tell you, even in the prison, keep on serving. Even in the prison, keep on working. Even in the prison, keep on being faithful, because when time lines up with eternity, God has a plan and he knows where to find you. He's not hiding and punishing you, but he's holding you, because there's a moment he's got a sign for you. It would be a shame for you to leave your address when God's package is on the way. I need you to stay where he put you, because God has something in store for you that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, neither has it entered into the heart of man what God has in store for you, because you love him. I know it's not comfortable. I know it's inconvenient, but God says, hang on right there. Hang on in there. Don't let people run you from your place. Don't let trouble run you from your spot. Hang on in there, because God will in due season take good care of you. I said God will in due season make a way out of no way. I hear my big mama again. She'd say, be not dismayed, whatever betide, God will take care of you. Beneath his wings of love abide. God will take care of you every day and all the way. He will take care of you. I gotta get out of here. It's been fun, Macedonia, but I need one witness before I get on the road in the morning. Is there anybody in the building this night that can testify? God will not leave you. God will meet you in due season. I need your help to preach. Find you one neighbor and tell them, neighbor, hang in there. Tell them, neighbor, let God do what God does. Let God work on your behalf, and he will. I said he will. I said he will. He will open doors that no man can shut. He will turn things around. Won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? I said, won't he do it? If you know he will, lift your hands, open up your mouth and say yes, yes, yes. Say yes.